I guess my last question is about residency and how do you become a permanent resident in the US when you come with your student visa? If your residency change, and what effects does it have on the fact that I might be able to live in the US for a long time? Do I have to become a resident? How do I become one? What's the upside of becoming a resident?
Arvinder, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, of course. So when we talk about being a permanent resident in the US, that context means you hold a green card. You're a legal permanent resident of the US. Okay. When you're holding a student status like an F1, you're considered temporary non-immigrant. And so every non-immigrant status has a limited duration on which you can stay in it. So F1, you can stay until you've completed your course and your OPT. H1B, you've got 6 years that can be extended in certain circumstances. Ls and all the other non-immigrant categories have their own duration of period you can remain in the US. If you don't transition to another category or another status, or you don't pursue a green card, most of the times when you hit that max or that end date, you'd have to depart the US or change your status. Okay. So if you pursue your green card and you've worked it out such that you've now obtained your green card, you're now a permanent resident in the US, and you'll just continue to maintain your green card for as long as necessary. Now, if you're looking at citizenship and holding dual citizenship with the US and Italy or any other country, every country has their own rules and requirements for whether they do or do not allow anyone to hold dual citizenship. Most countries do, but that's something that you'd want to check specifically with that country when you're looking to do that. And it's also really good guidance if you're looking at maintaining dual citizenship to really understand the tax implications that go alongside that. But that's a completely different area. But there are a lot of considerations when undertaking citizenship.
Okay.
And the other thing, Karat, I'll add to that is, if a student athlete is considering, whether they want to become a permanent resident of the U.S. or not, by applying through a green card, one thing they need to think about is that, again, what our vendor said is being a permanent resident means in the U.S. means that the U.S. is your place of primary residence. It doesn't mean that you have to stay 100% of your time in the U.S., but it does mean that this needs to be your established home, the place where maybe you own property, you have ties, you have bank accounts, and you can if at any point the Immigration Service views you as abandoning those ties to the U.S., they can actually take that green card status away. And so if you're an individual who sees yourself only staying in the United States a couple months a year, but then living back in Italy or somewhere else in Europe, it may be very hard to maintain that permanent resident status, because at some point they may question the strength of your ties to the U.S. and whether this is really your place of primary residence. So the green card is not meant for a person who just wants an easier travel document to come in here for a month or so a year. That's what the B visitor visa is for. But the green card, the permanent resident status, is meant for someone who will consider the U.S. their home. Again, doesn't mean that you can't go back to Italy for a 6-week vacation or travel abroad, but it just means that you need to keep your residence established here in the United States and your ties strong. Otherwise, you may lose that status at some point.